Hi guys. I wanted to record a message because I've been doing a lot of thinking the past few days and I just saw a text that schools will be closed for the remainder of the year. And so I wanted to process some of this and I also wanted to leave you guys a message. So what's that message? Um that this is hard. This is a period of uncomfortable change, and on the one hand, I'm sorry because you guys are kids and you're being robbed of experiences and time to grow and be a kid. And let me just say, I'm starting from a place of like I'm okay physically and even financially. I'm not too worried. My parents are both okay, and my brother's okay for the most part. And I don't know what it's like for those of you that are experiencing conditions way harder than mine. So I'm gonna just lean into my ignorance a little bit and just try to speak from my own experience. And basically, I'm your teacher right now, and I feel responsible. I don't have the emotional breadth to be a rock for all of you guys, right? That's not my role. That's not what anyone can really do. But I do think that there's an opportunity for us to build community with each other. And I'm influenced by alternative schools. There's a school called the Agile Learning Center, and I was just watching a tour of their school and their philosophy. Um, and there's another school called Iowa Big, and basically they're focused on learner centered education, and in Iowa Big it's kind of like authentic learning, context based, community based, working with stakeholders and so working on interesting things, real world things. Contrast that with our school, and it's where's the conversation been in state agencies and the mayor and the school and union and whatnot? Is it's been, oh, what are we gonna do about exams and testing, and what is that gonna mean in terms of like the credit you get for a class, or AP exams? And it's all about the exam and the thing that the piece of paper, right? If you go through all of your schooling, all you have to show for it is a piece of paper, and I got this on my SAT, and I got a 96 on the Spanish Regents. That's what I got. I still remember it, but I can't, speak Spanish. There's that's what our existing structure is built on, and so where my mind goes to is we're as a city, as a country, as a globe, as humanity is going through such a disruptive moment right now. And in that disruption, there is opportunity and I think almost responsibility to make it worth it, or to it's not the time to just to dream about everything that you ever wanted. No, it's not a time for a wish list. But envisioning what things could be like can inform the things that we fight for right now. So what do I mean? There are people struggling. We're in the midst of a crisis. We got to do what we can, when we can, as soon as possible to help people. What does that look like for in our schools, right? Our school year is canceled. And now that's the stimulus. And how we respond to it, that is a choice. That is entirely a choice. I saw this comment that we're not rebuilding like after a war because, buildings and infrastructure isn't destroyed. But we are rebuilding how we organize our time, our lives, our relationships to each other. And it's entirely abstract where we can't organize physically for the time being, and so we're just building out of thin air almost. So definitely this is a time to rebuild, and I think that forces us as a city, as a society, to think, how are we going to rebuild? Are we just trying to rebuild some version of what we lost? And for example, in schools, are we just trying to are we going to have online testing and basically make it just within a school? That's not hard to do, and there won't be a statewide regions, but that's something that the school can do. And it's like, are we going to move in that direction, or are we going to pause and think, what are we trying to do here? Can we do that intentionally? Are we actually hitting our goals? This is like it's New York on pause, right? So are we going to pause and think about this? I've been thinking about this a lot in my green design class and climate change, because climate is this long-term issue and it's a systemic issue. You can try to innovate within the system, but if you're not changing the rules and the policies and the laws and the culture and the minds, then nothing's going to stick. You can replace all cars with electric cars, but you won't have decarbonized your society. You need large-scale system change. So I've been on that, and I've been trying to think about, like, what does this mean? And part of me is thinking that, like, this long-term thing has to take a back seat for now, and we need to get through this crisis. But on the other hand, that backseat can inform how we respond to this crisis. Are we going to do it in a short-term way, or are we going to try to, build out a social safety net that sees everybody? That COVID hasn't hit everyone equally. It hasn't. People that are already vulnerable, that were already vulnerable, especially due to air pollution and poor indoor air quality, and just the existing things were made worse. And so how we respond to it, are we going to just try to slap a Band-Aid on it, or are we going to kind of take those lessons and bring it forward, so that when issues like this happen, when there are large-scale disruptions that we know are inevitable, that will happen, whether it's natural disasters or pandemics like this, or just social disruption, I don't know. Are we going to build out a net and be resilient to these kinds of changes, or are we just going to try to build things back the way they were, get things back to normal? I saw some articles where it's like the next few months there's no return to normal, and that's hard to fathom. And everyone, my point, why I'm telling you all this, why I'm just trying to share, is everyone's going through the same thing, where we're just trying to figure out, whoa, what are we going to do? How do we respond to this? And I am sorry, but I think you guys need to kind of step up and be brave and be strong and try to engage in that process. I don't think any of us can escape this. We're not going to go back to business as usual, even if we want to. There's plenty of ways to escape, and I don't mean to say, like, the emotions you're going through, it's important to to be calm and try to separate the emotions that we feel from how we respond to it. The talk from Susan David that I shared, it really put me in a good headspace. And she quoted Viktor Frankl, which I think he was a concentration camp survivor. And basically his basic observation was, so many people being exposed to the same thing, and yet some people responded differently to inhumane conditions. But some people kept an internal dignity that didn't sacrifice some internal value. And it's like, why? What led them to do that? I don't have an answer, but there is something in there, I think, that allows us to choose how we respond to things, if you just hold a space. So I'm going to ask that you not necessarily turn away from the bad feelings or the anxiety, or maybe even the fear, but to recognize, like, it's natural, and everyone, really, now more than ever, this is a global thing. It's not just our city, it's not just our state, it's everyone around the globe is kind of going through this process. And so that also means that we can respond in similar ways, not exactly the same. No, each region is different, but how we move forward, we can learn from others, and we can share best practices with others, and there's possibility in that. I don't want to say, oh, we'll definitely go one way or the other. Everyone's saying, so many people are bringing their preconceived beliefs to this, and I'm trying not to. How do I wrap this up? Y'all are in high school. I hope we can get back to some semblance of normal in a by next year, 2 years. I don't know. But big moments like this, they call on each of us to respond, and you guys are part of that. No one knows what's gonna come next, and I want you all to be part of that conversation. to step up if you can, right? You have to take care of yourself first before helping out a neighbor. Otherwise, you're both in trouble. But I challenge each of you, like to slowly wake up to this, a bit at a time. You need your support system. You got to stay calm and prepared to act, not ignoring the fear or the anxiety or the dangers or the uncertainty. But you need to act. We all need to act through this uncertainty. And I challenge each of you to step up and kind of think, what does that look like for you? How do you continue to build an enriching life through this tough time? So right now, in terms of just our school, just focusing on our school, it's closed going forward. I haven't heard anything from people above. It just happened, and we're going to process this over the next few days. But I encourage you to join in that process and to think, like, what could it look like going forward for the next 2 months? What do you want it to look like? And not just a wish list, but thinking practically, working with others and seeing where they're at and where you're at and how to bridge the gap. And I think that's sort of a microcosm for what we need to do as a society, but I don't know. But I'm here trying to get my thoughts out and challenge you to do the same and invite you to do the same. I don't want to be just stuck in my head, and I want to try to build out a community to I think community is more important now than ever. And I'm not the best community builder, but I'm going to try, for better or worse. This is a really long message. I'm just going to sum up. I love you guys, and I hope you're managing as best as possible, you and your families. And thanks for hearing me out. I need your ideas. I need you to step up. The world needs you to step up. We all got to step up now and think about to be the change we want to see. I'll end on that. Take care, everyone.